So last week we talked about how Ashes of Creation's CEO and many of the, front office, I guess you will, the executives resigned from the company. But we got an update to that, and we're going to look at gamesindustry.biz and the article written initially and updated on today, the 11th, by John Hicks. So, developer behind Kickstarter's most successful MMO shuts down and lays off all 210 staff. Update February 11th, 2026. Intrepid Studios stated on the 31st of January that the studio is closing and 210 staff would lose their jobs on February 2nd. The company reported this to California authorities under the terms of the state's WARN Act. A U.S. law firm has commenced an investigation into challenging the layoffs on the basis that the firm did not give employees sufficient notice of the closure. Then, for more background, in case you didn't see that initial video or you're not in the loop, which I'd be surprised if you're not, pretty popular story going on, but original story on February 2nd, 2026. A significant number of management and development staff working on Kickstarted MMO Ashes of Creations have resigned or were laid off from developer Intrepid Studios, according to social media posts over the weekend. Ashes of Creation bought in $3.2 million in Kickstarter funding in the platform's heyday of 2017, a record for an MMO and the eighth most successful game Kickstarter ever, only just behind Double Fine's Adventure and Mighty Number 9. The game launched into early access in December to mixed user reviews and complaints over bugs, performance issues, bots, and game systems. A post on the game's website on January 29th said that work was underway and scheduled a Twitch stream to share the development timeline, but then on January 31st, community lead Margaret Crone revealed that she and all of the dev team had been laid off via a LinkedIn post. Studio founder Stephen Sharif, who has certainly been maligned for some of his choices when this is all falling out, who served as the game's creative director, subsequently posted on the game's Discord, giving what he described as a, quote, limited statement in my personal capacity and not on behalf of the company regarding the situation, close quote. The post was recorded by PC Gamer. Control of the company shifted away from me, and the board began directing actions that I could not ethically agree with or carry out, wrote Sharif. As a result, I chose to resign in protest rather than lend my name or authority to decisions I could not ethically support. Following my resignation, much of the senior leadership team resigned. Following those departures, the board made the decision to issue WARN Act notices and proceed with mass layoffs. I cannot responsibly speak to further details at this time due to ongoing legal and governance matters. What I can say is that the developers and staff acted in good faith and deserved better than the uncertainty they are now facing. I am incredibly dismayed by the situation. The game had a development team of about 240 following the layoff of 9 staff 2 weeks ago, which Sharif described at the time as not a large-scale layoff and not reflective of the health or future of Ashes of Creation. The game has steadily lost players since early access launch, with current 24-hour peak of 6,599 players, according to SteamDB. Game Discover Co. estimated its sales at 239,000. Intrepid, which was founded in 2015, launched the first of several playable alphas in 2019. So obviously, not what you want to see from any game, but especially one that was funded by the public. And one of the more interesting things, and perhaps one of the more insidious facts about this whole situation, is that there was a clause that the money given to them through Kickstarter would be refunded if the game was never launched. Well, the game launched, not complete, but in an alpha state on Steam, and that is apparently what people are saying is the only way that they could avoid triggering this clause, but it doesn't mean that they're completely out of the woods, right? So let's go over now to Games Radar, and written by Jordan Gerblick, saying Steam is giving some players refunds for Ashes of Creation, which had the biggest MMO Kickstarter campaign ever after leadership resignation and mass layoffs. The future of the Kickstarter funded MMO Ashes of Creation looks uncertain. Obviously, this was written a week ago. We have a better, more certain showing of it now. At the best and dire at worst. And if you're among the masses who bought the game on Steam and feel you aren't getting your money's worth, you might have success simply asking for a refund. For some context, Ashes of Creation was the most successful MMO Kickstarter campaign ever, with the fundraiser launching in 2017 rather, and raising $3.3 million. The game itself finally launched into Steam Early Access in December, and only a few weeks later, its success would crumble into ashes. With the abrupt resignation of top leadership and mass layoffs. Intrepid Studios founder and Ashes of Creation's director, Steve Sharif, who was the first to leave the company, said his resignation was in protest after the board seized control of the studio and started asking him to carry out unethical orders. After that, much of the senior leadership team resigned, and Intrepid started notifying remaining staff of impending mass layoffs, according to Sharif. Intrepid recently announced a developer update stream where it'll answer questions about the situation. Yep, we covered that. For all those reasons, people want their money back. Kickstarter backers, those who bought the game straight from Intrepid, may be out of luck, but Steam users are sharing scattered success stories even when they don't meet the platform's refund policy requirements, which is usually like less than 2 hours played. I had to do that with Dragon's Dogma recently. Didn't run well enough on my PC to really get much use of it. Luckily, I didn't play for 2 hours, and Steam was kind enough to give me a refund. But when I get a bit of PC, when they're not $1 billion, maybe I'll rebuy it. The Games Radar Plus deputy news editor Catherine Lewis was able to get a refund for the game by submitting a help request and choosing the "I have a question about this purchase" prompt rather than the refund request option. That seems to be your best shot at reaching an actual human explaining the situation if you're past the refund date or your playtime exceeds the platform's policy of receiving a refund. There are a bunch of useful Reddit threads from people who successfully received refunds for Ashes of Creations, even with dozens of hours of playtime. Here are just a few that I found, and then they have some examples here. So, if you bought it on Steam, you might not be entirely out of luck, but all in all, not a good situation. Very bad for Ashes of Creation fans and anyone who is helping with this game is going to live up to the massive hype that it built through Kickstarter. So, what are your thoughts on all this? Are you someone who backed it on Kickstarter? Are you somebody who bought it on Steam and is going to try to refund it? Or maybe you've already refunded it. Let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments. Just one of the craziest situations that I have personally ever seen in the Kickstarter games world. But I guess not a crazy one. There are a lot of bad Kickstarter stories. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. If you're watching this Wiki and everything, please subscribe. We have new videos coming out every single week here on the channel. And if you're watching Those Fake Nerds, subscribe there, where we cover nerd and pop culture news, and we have videos coming out every day over there. Also, check out our sports channel, Where You Read Sports, and our podcasting channel, Better Radio. Again, thank you so much for all of your time, and I will see you in the next one.